There's really something to be said about having competent leadership in your party, because inevitably you're going to have to go on the talk shows and defend your policies, positions, and actions to the talking heads, to the journalists. And it's great to be able to dismantle the hosts because you have the facts on your side. And that's exactly what we're going to see today with Marco Rubio and Chip Roy. But before we get to these clips, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
Can you substantiate any form of material support for terrorism, specifically to Hamas, from this Columbia student? Or was it simply that he was espousing a controversial political point of view?
Well, not just the student. We're going to do more. In fact, every day now we're approving visa revocations, and if that visa led to a green card, the green card process as well. And here's why. It's very simple. When you apply to enter the United States and you get a visa, you are a guest. And you're coming as a student, you're coming as a tourist, or what have you. And in it, you have to make certain assertions. And if you tell us when you apply for a visa, I'm coming to the U.S. to participate in pro-Hamas events, that runs counter to the foreign policy interest of the United States of America. It's that simple. So you lied. You came. If you had told us that you were going to do that, we never would have given you the visa. Now you're here. Now you do it. So you lied to us. You're out. It's that simple.
But is there any evidence of a link to terrorism, or is it just his point of view?
Yeah, they take over. I mean, you should watch the news. These guys take over entire buildings.
They
vandalize colleges.
Intensely.
They shut down
I'm
colleges.
asking about the specific justification for the revocation of his visa. Was there any evidence of material support for terrorism?
Was the negotiator negotiating on behalf of people that took over a campus, that vandalized buildings? Negotiating over what? That's a crime in and of itself, that they're involved in being the negotiator, the spokesperson, this, that, the other. We don't want it. We don't need these people in our country. We never should have allowed them in the first place. If he had told us, I'm going over there and I'm going over there to become the spokesperson and one of the leaders of a movement that's going to turn one of your allegedly elite colleges upside down, people can't even go to school, library buildings being vandalized, we never would have let him in. We never would have let him in to begin with. And now that he's doing it and he's here, he's going to leave, and so are others, and we're going to keep doing it. And by the way, I find it ironic that a lot of these people out there defending the First Amendment alleged free speech rights of these Hamas sympathizers, they had no problem, pressuring social media to censor American political speech. So I think it's ironic and hypocritical. But the bottom line is this. If you are in this country to promote Hamas, to promote terrorist organizations, to participate in vandalism, to participate in acts of rebellion and riots on campus, we never would have let you in if we had known that. And now that we know it,
is it only pro-Palestinian people who are going to have their visas revoked, or are other points of view as well?
No, I think anybody who's here in favor, but we want to get rid of Tren de Agua gang members. They're terrorists too. The president designated them, asked me to designate, and I did, as a terrorist organization. We want to get rid of them as well. We don't want terrorists in America. I don't know how hard that is to understand. We don't want people in our country that are going to be committing crimes and undermining our national security or the public safety. It's that simple, especially people that are here as guests. That is what a visa is. I don't know where we've gotten it in our head that a visa is some sort of birthright. It is not. It is a visitor into our country. And if you violate the terms of your visitation, you are going to leave.
So here we're talking about Mahmoud Khalil, the 30-year-old student who was the mastermind behind taking over Columbia University and, of course, vandalizing the property, okay? So he's here on a visa, and that visa has now been revoked because guess what? It's not legal in this country to occupy buildings and deface them and defame them. But, of course, the left is all up in arms because Donald Trump is removing immigrants. Yeah, you're a guest in our country, and if you're breaking the law, we're going to go ahead and kick you out because we're not Biden, we're not Obama. We're going to get rid of the bad elements. But of course, the left has that bleeding heart, have the tearful faces, and of course, have the rampant protests. Free Mahmoud! To which I say, I could care less. If you want to come to this country, we grant visas, we grant waivers, we have all types of opportunities for immigrants to come in and do it the right way, and of course, obey our laws. But Mahmoud decided to not do that. He decided to go ahead and break into a building and take it over. And obviously, that is not acceptable to everybody except for Margaret Brennan. Do you have any evidence that he was a terrorist? He's on video committing these acts, and Marco Rubio has to say, hey, why don't you watch the news, Margaret Brennan? All right, because apparently, even though you're the host of Face the Nation, you're not aware of what's actually going on in the nation, particularly on a segment that you're talking to Marco Rubio about. But I guess you can be both uninformed and well paid over on CBS, all right? And we have a similar scenario happening over on CNN with Chip Roy.
Would you be supportive of Elon Musk doing what he said he was going to do in that interview, which is cut entitlements, essentially?
And so put it in context of what he was actually talking about. First of all, he said $700 billion. That is a tiny fraction of the total amount. And why? Because what he's talking about is eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. He's been identifying
sure,
duplicate
I mean, the entire
Social
cost
Security
of Medicaid is basically what he was saying there, that $700 billion number. It's not the $500 million that many people say is often the number for Medicare or Medicare Advantage.
Keep in mind, right, but Casey, keep in mind what's happening here. We are now dealing with the expansion population under Obama, where able-bodied individuals are getting a 90% federal funding compared to the vulnerable and the elderly and the sick, who are only getting 50 to 75% because Obamacare was structured in a bad way. You have enormous amount of fraud under Medicaid. You have illegal aliens getting Medicaid. You have California gaming Medicaid in order to get money.
Do you
out of
really
the
think
Fed
there's
to fund
$700
them.
billion worth of fraud and waste in Medicaid? $700 billion? I mean, it's the cost of the whole thing.
Okay, well, Casey, let me give you a number that might mean something. The 2021 CBO budget baseline compared to the 2025 CBO budget baseline, a $1.2 trillion increase. Significant amounts of that is waste, fraud, and abuse. Significant amounts of that is illegal aliens. Significant amounts of that are able-bodied citizens as compared to the vulnerable. That's what we need to sort out.
Do you think you can cut $700 billion without touching law-abiding American citizens who are entitled to their benefits under Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid? I mean, do you think that's really possible in these programs? $700 billion with a B?
Yeah, well, first of all, remember that we've gone from $4.5 trillion of spending, Casey, in 2019 to $7 trillion in 2025. We've identified $1 trillion in improper payments. That means money that's going to the wrong people and money that's going in the wrong amounts. There's plenty of us to be able to go find the waste, fraud, and abuse, make sure it's going to the right people. But again, I'm being very specific. I actually believe in work requirements. Most Americans do it. Polls at like 80%. You should work if you're able-bodied, and then those are the kinds of ways that you can save money. And Elon was just simply saying, and not just in Medicaid, but broadly, when you have duplicate Social Security numbers, where you have known fraud in Medicaid and Medicare. I worked in the Attorney General's office in Texas, and the Medicaid fraud division there was very busy because of so much fraud. We can do a better job getting the actual dollars to the people who are supposed to get them under the programs, like the vulnerable under Medicaid.
Yeah. President Trump, of course, on the campaign trail said over and over and over and over again that he's not going to cut Social Security and he's not going to cut Medicare. Where are you on this? I mean, do you stand with the president on that? Do you stand with what Elon Musk is apparently saying here?
Well, again, let me be clear about what Elon's saying. He's saying find the waste, fraud, and abuse, the duplication, and those things that you can find in the.
But that's not what he. I mean, that's not what he's saying. I just want to know, like, are you with President Trump on cutting Medicare and Social Security, on not doing that?
But to be clear, that is what Elon was talking about. And on Social Security, under what we're going to deal with in terms of reconciliation, we're legally not allowed to talk about Social Security, touch Social Security under the law.
So this has been the attack line for the last week. Elon Musk is going after your Social Security. He's going after your Medicare and Medicaid. And all of this, of course, is with the approval of Donald Trump. When, as a matter of fact, that is not what's going on. And Elon Musk is on record saying exactly that. But the left wants to, of course, focus on the wrong part of the interview that we're referencing over from Fox.
I mean, the waste report in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. The waste report in entitlement spending.
So the left, of course, focuses on the second half of that statement, but not on the first, where he says the waste, fraud, and abuse in the social entitlements, right? That's what Elon Musk is going after, right? They're not going to touch the entitlements to actual people who've paid into the system who deserve to get their money back. But the left is going to be disingenuous as always and pretend that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are going after the elderly, right? And that is not what we're saying. And Chip Roy did an excellent job of pointing out that, we had this huge balloon from $4 trillion to $7 trillion in payments. And where did that all go? Yes, surely we can find that $500 billion that Elon Musk is talking about. Surely we can find that waste, fraud, and abuse and cut back on it. And surely we can find all of the payments going to improper places and people like, I don't know, California with their illegal immigrant Medicare programs, right? We can definitely find some waste there, okay? And that is all we're saying. There is rampant misbehavior going on with our payment systems. There is rampant misbehavior going on with the government entitlement programs, and we're going to find it and weed it out. And that's how we can save the taxpayers billions of dollars, right? Because don't forget, Donald Trump wants to actually give you back some of your money if we can find enough of this garbage and cut it out. Not that I'm holding my breath about that, but hey, it's a nice thought that someone's at the very least looking into all of this stuff, and that is why the Doge department is such a necessary thing that we have going on right now. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me.